welcome back to another episode of the Bleacher Boys. We're here to rank our top 10 starting pitchers in the National League for this season. Every year we do both the AL and the NL, assembling our top 10 list. Now, importantly, this is not a list of who we think is just the best in our opinion. This is a list of which pitchers we think will rank 1 to 10 in wins above replacement at the end of the 2023 season. It's a very important distinction because this is how we can check to see who was right, me, and who was wrong, Ken, at the end of the year. There has to be a way to tabulate this. Do you agree, Ken, this is a fair way to assess these pitchers just so we know who's right and who's wrong?
I do agree, and I don't think we made that distinction clear enough for last year.
We did. I made it very clear, but you want to say I didn't make it clear because you lost.
So apparently I lost last year. I'm coming back with a vengeance. Last year...
Now, the National League, I have to say, is this league in which Ken is probably stronger than me. I know more about the AL.
Last year. Mm-hmm.
Ken is probably stronger than the NL. That's why I put some extra research in this time, and I have some takes that are so hot. Oh my gosh. They will burn you if you even look at them, bro. I got some scalding takes this year.
All right. Should we get started?
Let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to get started with my number 10 pitcher in the National League. It is your boy. He's coming in 10th. He had an outstanding season last year. It's the left-hander from the Atlanta Braves, Max Fried. He went 14-7 with a 2.48 ERA, put up a 5.9 WAR. He kind of just, put it all together. We've seen flashes of what he could be in the playoffs in 2020, 2021, but in 2022, he kind of put it all together in the regular season. An outstanding year he threw 185 innings, stayed healthy the whole year. He has that nasty curveball that everyone knows about, but his fastball is pretty sneaky too, with a really good spin rate. Uses it at the top of the zone. He has a nice slider as well. He's a very complete pitcher. He'll go 5 or 6 innings and give you a quality start in most of his starts. So I think this is a guy that's perfect for that number 10 spot, getting us started here on this list. 5
different weapons, and somehow still underrated. He's 28. He's basically improved every season he's been in the game, and still he doesn't get talked about enough. There are pitchers on his own team that we talk about more than Max Fried. He is fun. He is an ace. He is a world champion. And
good-looking man.
A great-looking man. Oh, my gosh, what I would give for that mustache. Now, you see what I'm working with up here. You know what I would give to have Max Fried's facial hair? Anyway.
Who do you have at number 10?
So you want me to do my 10 instead of you doing your 10 to 1 just right away?
I think so. I think that works better.
In that case, my number 10 is Julio Urias of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I left this guy off my list last year, and I lived to regret it. Now, I am not a huge Julio Urias fan, mainly because I don't think he pitches deep enough into games, and I don't really like his glasses, and he plays for the Dodgers. Those are 3 cardinal sins. But as a baseball fan, I cannot argue with what he does on the mound because it is special. He has posted an ERA plus above 150 for above 130 for 4 consecutive seasons. Last season, he had the lowest whip of his career, the lowest ERA of his career, ERA plus of 194 that led the National League. He mainly works off of a fastball, knuckle curve, and changeup combination, deadly from the left side. His FIP is perhaps higher than you might like, 3.71. That's testament to the fact that he is not an elite strikeout pitcher to the extent that guys like Kershaw and Walker Buehler and Hunter Green might be. But he's effective. He's effective at getting weak contact, limiting balls in the gap, and just mowing down lineups. So I have him in my number 10 spot. I don't think he hasn't shown us that he can be the number 1 or number 2 pitcher in the league yet, which is why he's probably still not made an all-star team. But he belongs on the list, and I will admit that. This year I have the strength to admit that.
I'm glad you finally have this guy on the list. I can't really respond to your little spiel there because I haven't got to my Urias pick yet, but I'm going to get started with my number 9. It's Yu Darvish, my guy from Japan. He's come over, and he's 36 years old. He's a veteran now in this league, but he just continues to get better. He put up one of his best seasons in MLB since coming over in 2012. He went 16-8 with a 3.1 ERA. He threw 194 innings. He learned to not walk anyone. His whip went down to 0.95. His walks per 9 went down to 1.7. He's still striking out a ton of batters. His FIP is 3.31, so not big of a difference there. That doesn't worry me. I think he's a consistent pitcher that'll give you quality innings. 4.4 WAR last year. I think he's in that same range once again. He has 15 pitches that he can go to. I don't think he relies heavily on his velocity, which he does have. He can get up to 97, 98, but he's more of a off-speed guy, throws his slider and curve more than he does his fastball. He has splitters. He has every pitch that moves every single direction. I think he can, transition nicely into a less velocity guy, and he's a real pitcher.
Darvish has virtually everything you can throw, he throws. Everything you want to throw at a guy, Darvish throws. Baseball
correct.
Savant has him throwing 6 different pitches last season, all of them with a negative run value, which, if those of you who don't know, negative run value is good if you're a pitcher because it means it's like -4 is like it's -4 runs the average. Preventing runs, exactly like that. He does not give up a lot of hard hit balls, my man. And he does not walk anybody. You're right. That was his biggest improvement last season. Cut his walk rate from 2.4 to 1.7, lowering his whip. And that bodes well for the future because if he's going to succeed into his late 30s and 40s, he can't be leaving runners on base because his velocity, it will decline. It's probably going to decline this season. We'll see how much.
He just got that 6-year deal, too.
He is.
He's in San Diego a long time.
He's 36, but, Japanese players age very well, we've seen. We haven't seen a lot of pitchers in the MLB who are from Japan, have careers longer than 10 or 12 years, right? How many are there? Hideo Nomo pitched for 8-10 years. Daisuke Matsuzaka had about 6-7. Darvish he's a special bird. He's unique.
He is unique.
Been in the league since he was 25, on his 11th year in North America. Got quite a track record. 5 All-Star appearances. And 8th in Cy Young last year. That's a solid number 9 pick. I'll move on to mine, which is not you, Darvish, because it is, in fact, as you predicted, one of these young stars from the Cincinnati Reds. Hunter Greene comes in at number 9.
I knew you'd have one of them in there.
Yes, Ken knows exactly how I think. I could not have Hunter Greene. He is too much fun and too talented, and he throws too hard. Now, as we know, as everybody knows, velocity is not everything. A good fastball, a great pitcher does not make. But Hunter Greene is more than just a fastball pitcher. He has an excellent slider as well, which got better as the year went on last season. He pitched his best baseball at the end of 2022. He had a remarkable 6-start stretch from August to September, where his cumulative ERA was something like 1.83, pitching against some very tough teams. He's a strikeout pitcher, first and foremost, and that means he is prone to giving up home runs. That was his Achilles heel last season. But that's the kind of thing that young pitchers often suffer from, but they tend to improve on it. Still racked up a 2.3 wins above replacement in just 24 starts. A lot of that is due to pitching in Cincinnati in that hitter's park. But I see a lot of promise for Hunter Greene. He profiles like a Jacob deGrom. He profiles like a Spencer Strider. A lot of strikeouts, a lot of fastballs up in the zone. Those guys are usually prone to injury, but he's only 22. We could see a few years out of him before he, if he runs into an injury this season, probably be a dumb idea to put him on this list, but he looks strong. He was strong last season, and he's built like a pitcher. Yeah, stands at 6'5", 230 pounds. A solid guy. I don't think he's going to get hurt, do you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you're just a year or two ahead of the curve here. I think
that's
you're
what
trying
you
to
said
hop on the
last season.
train. About who?
About
Who did I say
Manoah
that
and
about?
McKenzie and Cease, all these guys.
No. I did
You
not
did.
say that.
You did.
Hunter Greene is a pitcher that came up last year. He's still 23 years old. He's turning
Made 24
in
starts
August.
last season.
I understand, but I just don't know. Like, what do you have him as predictions? Do you think
How many
he's
how many starts have you made in the MLB? Exactly. My
Well,
predictions
see,
for
if you start comparing me to Hunter Greene, then your list is a little garbage.
I have him
Yeah,
making
what do you have
28,
projections?
28 starts, 154 and a third innings, 191 Ks, an ERA of 3.05, ERA plus of 145,
Wow!
and a
Wow!
WAR,
No way!
and
No
a
way! Get
WAR
out of
of
here!
4.4 wins.
In how many innings?
In 154 and a third innings.
No, bro, get out of here, man.
That's only 30 more than he threw this year.
He's not putting up an ERA plus of 145, man.
If he is.
There's no way.
It's totally conceivable. It's not even that.
It's
Let's
doable.
look at what,
yeah.
let's look at what
I just
DeGrom's
don't-
ERA plus was in his second season. 149.
Yeah, let's look at that.
149. Okay, so how
you
is this
think
unreal?
DeGrom and Hunter Greene are in different stratospheres?
Yes, but their stuff profile. I mean, Green throws harder than DeGrom does.
There's been numerous pitchers that throw harder
He doesn't
than
have
DeGrom
the
that
polish.
haven't.
He doesn't have the polish yet, but the tools are
I
there.
don't
And
know,
stuff
man.
in the long term and often in the short term, stuff plays, my guy.
This is like a Nate
Stuff
Pearson
plays.
pick on the Blue Jays, man. These guys that throw hard don't always play out.
But Nate Pearson didn't make 24 starts last year, dude.
He didn't, but he's struggling to stay healthy. I
Plus,
think that's.
I mean,
that's
I know
one
you hate when I go into
denominator.
intangibles and je ne sais quoi.
Stop! I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Okay, I won't go
This is
into it.
intangibles. Don't go into it.
But he has the intangibles.
I've got the guy, the sex god from Arizona, Zach Gallen, coming in here at number 8. He had, I mean, I know you remember, but I don't know if the fans remember. He had a breakout second half last year. On July 8th, he hit the high watermark in ERA at 3.62, and after that, he went 15. He started 15 games and went 8-2 with a 1.58 ERA, including the 44.1 inning scoreless streak. This guy is an absolute wizard with the baseball. He has that nasty 12-6 curve. He strikes out batters. He has a 3.05 FIP. 254 ERA. His whip is 0.91, led all of MLB. 5.9 hits per nine, he led all of MLB. He put up a 5.1 more. I think he put it all together. Finally, I think we've been all waiting for it. He was like the sexy, sneaky Cy Young pick for the past few years. I think he put it together. I think he's one of the top Cy Young picks for next year. Has to be. He's a nice, solid piece that the Arizona Diamondbacks have that they probably won't use in October. So I think this guy, number 8, I think it's a fair placement for
Ken is
for a
trying
guy
to
that's
Ken is
coming up.
trying to make himself sound like he's this baseball
Um,
oracle. You know, he's like, I've been looking at Gallen for years and years. He's
I
been
have
my
been.
dark
I
horse.
have
He
been.
has
He's
not.
been a nice.
Ken has not been looking at Zach Gallen for years. He didn't know the guy's name before last season.
I've had Zach Gallen
He
on my
took
fantasy team
Zach
for the last
Gallen
2
from
years.
my fantasy team in the middle of last season. He robbed
Last
him
2
from
years
me
I've had him
and got lucky.
because
He
you
just
didn't
saw this
believe in
guy.
him. You just dropped him.
I dropped him because he had 2 bad starts in a row, which is
Yep.
reasonable. Of course, you drop him, and then Ken
This
picks him up and
is
gets
why
lucky.
Oliver ends up in last place in fantasy baseball because he doesn't know too much about baseball.
It is a
It's okay.
crapshoot. I
I'm
knew
here
who Gallen
trying
was.
to
I'd known
educate.
Gallen for years. You don't even pay attention to the Diamondbacks. I think you probably
I'm
forgot the
here to
Diamondbacks
educate.
were in the major leagues, man.
What, do you have Merrill Kelly here at 7, 8?
I don't know. I like Merrill Kelly a lot. He's not a top 10 pitcher. You know Kelly is my boy. He's a good dark horse Cy Young pick. But anyway, Zach Gallen,
think so,
he's
too.
fuego. 5.9 hits per 9. How the hell did he do that?
He just doesn't let
As
anyone on
Padres,
base. I mean,
Dodgers, that's
I'm
amazing.
here to educate Oliver in pitchers that he
5.9.
might not know about yet. Because NL is not his strong suit, as he said it himself.
Gallen really came out of nowhere. That we can all attest to.
Not of nowhere, bro. I've had my eyes on him for so long.
For Ken, he definitely came out of nowhere.
Come on, man. Zach Gallen's been
I'm surprised
solid
you can even
entire
pronounce his
career.
name.
All
Zach
right, Ollie, you
Gallen.
have an 8. This
My
is
number
crazy.
7 is Mr. Aaron Nola, my man, sex king of the National League. Last year I had him as my number 1 pitcher. He wound up number 2, so
Wait,
I was
did you give
clearly
your 8?
way off. Yep, my 8 was green. So you just gave your 7. I'm
Oh.
giving my 7 now.
No,
Nola, I
that's
had
false.
him.
I gave my 8.
No, you just gave your 7.
I have Freed 10, Darvish 9, Gallen 8.
Okay, never mind. I'm giving my 8 now. My 8 is Aaron Nola. Nola, what a pitcher. We saw him in the playoffs for the first time last season. He was fantastic at first, then got a little
he
roughed up
wasn't.
against the Padres.
Got beat
and
by his
the
own brother.
Astros. But excellent at first, excellent. He's shown us what he can do. Last year, Isaac Springer and Ken Suzuki absolutely lambasted me for believing in Aaron Nola, and boy, did they wind up eating their words. He was the second best pitcher in the NL last season, which you guys didn't seem to believe was possible. Racked up, was it a 5.6 WAR over 32 starts, career high in innings, 235 Ks, and led the major leagues with a 1.3 walks per 9, 8.10 strikeout to walk ratio. That is simply ludicrous. That is like Pedro level. 4th in Cy Young voting, 2.58 FIP. Also the best of his career, the best whip of his career, the best hits per 9 of his career. He took leaps and bounds beyond what I even thought he could do. And right now he is squarely in the middle of his prime. I think he's probably the safest pick in the MLB to be a top 10 pitcher next season. I don't have him in the number 1 spot only because some regression after a year like the one he had is inevitable. We'll see who picks him up on their fantasy team this league, whoever does. He's a lucky man, indeed. Or lucky
All right,
girl, if that plays.
I have his teammate here at number 7, Zach Wheeler. I think he is
Your boy.
the better pitcher in the Phillies rotation. He went 12-7 with a 2.82. What I like about this guy is that if you look at his last 2-3 years, which I like to look at for these types of rankings, he's the model of consistency since joining the Phillies. I mean, this is my most confident pick to be in the top 10. of our list because he's just so consistent. He puts up 12 to 15 wins with a 140 to 150 ERA plus. Doesn't walk too many batters. He strikes out a ton. Five-ish WAR. I think he's gonna be right there. Put up the same kind of stats quietly because I think Nola is the ace, like as the face of the rotation. But I think Wheeler's quietly behind him. Putting up numbers, doing his own thing. The Phillies are a good team, and Zach Wheeler's a huge part of it.
Yeah, what's frustrating is everybody actually considers Wheeler to be the number one. Everyone says Wheeler's the ace of the Phillies. Wheeler this, Wheeler that. It's Zach. Nola's often actually shifted behind him because Nola's so criminally underrated, on this channel.
Not that good, that's why.
Nola, okay, I can't even, not even worth responding to that. Ken's just desperately grasping for straws here, unable to accept the force of his own wrongness.
He's had 2 great years. Good. Nice.
Can't even respond to that. There's simply no point entertaining Ken's shenanigans. Zach Wheeler, an excellent
2 to 3 WAR
pitcher.
in years that he doesn't break out.
The only concern about Wheeler is, of course, his health. He put up 5 wins last season, which is remarkable, over 153 innings. Yet his health is always worrisome. He put in a seriously heavy workload in 2021, more than any pitcher in the game. And we saw him wear down a bit last season. He had that bout of injury at the beginning, missed 6 whole starts, but when he came back, he was almost as good as he was the year before. Wheeler's a solid pick for the top 10.
You know it.
We don't know. The injury prognosis is concerning. You have to admit that. He is a former Tommy John recipient. Just had one Tommy John, I believe, back in 2015 when he missed a couple seasons. Been around longer than you think. Broke in 2013, age 23, Zach Wheeler. Not as attractive as Nola is, we can admit that.
Okay, we could have this argument then. Right, let's have this argument. Hold on.
About who's sexier?
No, about who's the better pitcher, because I think Wheeler fits the model of the pitcher you like better with the strikeout numbers and the high velocity, high fastball kind of guy. Nola is more of a sinker baller.
Aaron Nola has better strikeout.
Strike out as many.
Nola has better strikeout numbers than Zach Wheeler over the past 2 seasons, objectively. Higher strikeout to 9 ratios. That's just a fact.
That is not a fact.
Yep. So let's look at Aaron Nola's K through 9 in 2022 was 10.3. Zach Wheeler's was 9.6. In 2021, Nola had 11.1 strikeouts per 9. Wheeler had 10.4. That's not everything, of course, but objectively, Nola is the better strikeout pitcher.
Okay, I'm stumped.
Yes, you're wrong. You're wrong. I mean, by a whole strikeout per inning, Nola's the better strikeout pitcher.
I'm wrong.
Let's just commemorate this for posterity. This will go on one of our shorts. We'll put this on Instagram post. Ken has been exposed being objectively wrong. He's looking at the numbers right now. He's objectively incorrect about 2 pitchers. I think we can probably just move past this guy now because we've established your total lack of credibility when it comes to all things Phillies pitchers. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to my number 7.
Well, hold on. I was looking at the strikeout percentage and the ground ball percentage. Nola is more of a ground ball pitcher.
You're trying so hard. I mean, I think you should just take a back seat for a little while because you've really been exposed. My number 7, another guy that I didn't have last season who I don't really want to put on the list, but I'm going to feel really dumb if he gets on here again and I'm wrong. So I'm putting Justin Verlander in at number 6. Verlander is, of course, now 40 years old. He was miraculous last season. I'm sure you'd agree. That's the only word that describes it. Comes back from Tommy John surgery at age 39 and somehow, pitching in the AL West, puts up 175 innings with a 2.20 ERA plus, one of the best in history, the best of his career, the lowest whip of his career, while still striking out 9.5 batters per 9 innings. His stuff didn't seem to have taken a big hit from his time in the AL. He still has close to elite fastball velocity, excellent command of the 2 off-speed pitches, the slider and the curveball, 90th percentile in spin rate on his fastball. He's still spinning it like a beast, living up in the zone, just like he was in 2019. And his expected ERA, 2.66 in the top 9% of the league. You can't even say he got lucky. He didn't get lucky. He was just a beast like he's always been. And so I'm going to feel really silly.
You didn't have him on your top 10 list. So
I didn't have him because I thought...
keep that in mind when you're listening to all these top 10 lists.
Yeah, but I had a reason for it. 39 coming back from Tommy John. Like, that's who's going to put him up there? You had him on your list, but even you were doubtful. You were saying, yeah, man, I don't know. Verlander...
No, absolutely not. I said I believe in Verlander. If you believe in one guy,
if you look at the video from last season, Ken faltered. He was hesitant, reluctant to put this guy.
I think I put him top 5 in the league. We all knew what he was shaky. Up to.
You were shaky.
With my number 6 guy, it's Corbin Burnes from the Milwaukee Brewers. I I don't want to call it a regression, but he had not as good 2022 season as he did a 2021 season. But I think his 2023 season will end somewhere in between those 2 years. If you look at his baseball savant page and his percentiles, that's literally out of the Met. Like it's all red, all to the right side of the bar. I mean, this guy is absolutely he has filthy stuff. You know about the cutter, we know about the sinker, we know about the slider. He has great control. His whip is 0.96, 2.3 walks per nine, 10.8 Ks per nine. This is all things that you want to see in a pitcher of top 10 caliber. His K percentage went down from 2021 and 2022. It was at 35%. He's down to 30%. So I'm a little worried about that. Hard hit percentage went up, but I think he does bounce back, if you will, because he didn't have a bad 2022 at all. But I think he'll land closer to 2022 numbers or 2021 numbers than 2022.
Yeah. I don't want to go into it too deeply, but I'm kind of with you on Corbin Burns' slight regression from what we saw last season. I don't think he wasn't really at his best. You saw the peak of what he could be in 2021. I think when he was still surprising everybody with that special pitch mix he has, that high 90s cutter that no one had really seen before from a starting pitcher, and then that great complement of off-speed pitches. He just seemed a bit more human this season. From the outset all the way to the end of the season, he didn't have really
still
any
struck
prolonged
out 243
stretches.
batters.
Yeah, the strikeout stuff is still there. That'll last, but sometimes you leave too many pitches center cut, you get beaten on them. You leave pitches in the middle of the zone, and they get rocked. That happened to him a bit too many times last season. But he is still elite, still locking down that Milwaukee rotation, and still only 28 years old. Just squarely in the beginning of his prime. Now has a career ERA plus of 129. That's rock solid. Career FIP of 2.85. Yeah.
He'll be pitching in the Bronx come August, so that'll help him out too.
Is he a free agent after the season?
I don't think so, no.
You think he's going to get traded?
I think him and Woodruff are gone after
Both to the
trade
Yankees?
deadline. Not both to the
Anthony
Yankees. I think
Volpe?
Woodruff goes to I can see him going to the White Sox. Another Giolito type pitcher.
Burns not actually a top 10 pitcher in the NL last season. That's a surprise.
Yeah, he had a 4 WAR.
Yeah.
He regressed
He
a
was
little bit.
just outside that bubble. But Ken is looking at a comeback for Burns, and I respect that confidence. My number 6 is a bit out of left field, or rather, I guess out of the visitors' dugout. It is the young right-hander from the Miami Marlins, Edward Cabrera, who burst onto the scene last season.
Always tries to be so cute with these picks and tries to get ahead of the curve before everyone
Edward
knows.
Cabrera has talent for years. This guy ranks the 95th percentile in fastball velocity and boasts a ridiculous changeup and excellent slider. All pitches coming into their own. He doesn't rely over much on his fastball. His changeup is actually his most used pitch at 32.7%. Last year, he was registered at 271 WOBA against it with a 33% whiff rate and just a 172 batting average. Just 14 starts. Ken, what do you think the run value was against his changeup last season? Again, over just 14 starts.
-7.
-10. -10
Okay.
for a guy who threw just 70 innings, showing you that pitch is on its way to becoming one of the elite pitches in the game, and it's not even his fastball, just his changeup. He's an excellent four-seamer too, and even works in a curveball sometimes. Pretty well-developed arsenal for a guy who is only 24
Small
years old
sample size.
out of the Dominican Republic. Cabrera has a ridiculously small sample size, less than 100 innings of MLB time, but last season he showed tremendous potential, only allowing 5.5 hits per 9 innings. He does still have a problem with walks, as a lot of young pitchers have. So I may be 2 or 3 or 4 years ahead with this pick, but I have a lot of confidence in Cabrera pitching out of that Marlins rotation, being tutored by Sandy Alcantara, who is has a similar profile to a young Cabrera. This is a risky pick, and I admit that, but I made a lot of risky picks last season that panned out really well. So along with Hunter Green, Cabrera is my wildcard ace in the hole for next season, and my number 6 best pitcher in the NL.
I can't wait for you to finish this list and see who you left off and who you put these guys above. But the Marlins have a really young pool of.
They've got some arms, bro.
Pool.
Have you looked at their arms?
Perez. You got Perez,
Braxton Garrett, Jesus Luzardo.
You got Sixto Sanchez, who put up an insane 2020 season.
They got arms,
yeah,
man.
I know.
They're crazy.
They do have arms, but I don't know if you chose the right one to break out next year.
You think it was going to be Garrett? Garrett's also a good choice.
I think
Or
it's
Luzardo.
Perez.
Perez? Really?
Yuri
That's a hot
Perez.
take.
Yeah,
That
he's
is a
got he's got
hot take.
nasty stuff. For my number 5, I'm going the other side of the age spectrum. I'm going with Max Scherzer, a 38-year-old. Just an absolute beast when he's healthy. He went 11-5 with a 2.29 in 145 innings. He put up just Scherzer type stats. 5.2 WAR in 145 innings is ridiculous. He's only fifth on my list because of the injury history. I think he dealt with that oblique stuff a lot last year, and he's been the best pitcher when he's healthy. But I just don't see him putting up another 200 inning year after his 38 age 38 season. I think he might, he's a guy that could prove me wrong and go throw 200 innings, but I just don't see it happening at this point in his career. I think I see him getting, I don't know, 135 to 150 innings again, similar stats, but I don't think he'll put up enough WAR to be higher on this list. Top 5 is still very good.
It would be a mistake to leave Scherzer off of any list when it comes to pitching. Any list that
With
just
that
counts
said,
as
all he has
best
is
baseball
Maul.
players. That being said, Scherzer's my top 80 pick this year. No, last season, yeah, he was gross again. He just gets better as the years go by. Him and Verlander are kind of two guys who were former teammates, now reunited on the New York Mets. Remember, they both came up with the Tigers together. Well, I guess Scherzer was with the Diamondbacks at first. But anyway, yeah, it just keeps getting better. This is going to be the arm strength with him, how long he can stay healthy. I like that pick at, what was that, number 5 for you?
Yep, 5.
My number 5 is another right-hander, but not from the NL East. All of our pitchers are coming from the NL East this year, which I guess isn't that surprising. But I have Brandon Woodruff of the Brewers coming in at number 5.
Wow.
Now, Woodruff has kind of been shelved.
Wow, I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised by that pick.
He's been rated always as the second best young righty on the Brewers behind his teammate and compatriot Corbin Burns. Burns is the guy who gets most of the hype,
Peralta
who
better
gets
too.
the awards, Peralta as well. Woodruff is kind of left out of the conversation at times, but I believe that is a crucial error by the baseball community because Woodruff's stuff is comparable to Burns's, and
No, come on, that's disrespectful.
I don't think it's disrespectful at all. Have you watched Woodruff?
Comparable,
Have you watched
no.
Woodruff pitch? Woodruff throws
Yeah,
a disgusting
absolutely.
curveball in the mid to high 80s, fastball velocity in the 87th percentile. Also features a
I agree.
disgusting
I think
changeup
he's-
with well above average horizontal movement.
I think he's
Um,
gross, but
and a
to compare
nasty
his stuff to
four-seam and
Burns,
sinker combination. I think the stuff
Come
is
on, man.
comparable. It almost stands up there. And I think Woodruff is actually a better competitor. Last year he posted a
oh wow,
1.07
here
whip.
come the intangibles.
Oh my gosh, he has been rock solid over the past 5 seasons. ERA plus over
Does it-
114 every year.
Does this mean you don't have Burns on your list?
I'm not answering that. You don't even get to know about that.
Jesus.
You need to be patient
This
and
is
wait.
bad. This is one of the
Woodruff
worst lists
has
I've
had-
ever heard of.
Strikeout per 9 above 10 his entire career. Never walked more than 2.2 batters per inning.
Wow.
I can just read off numbers to you all day. But the point is, this
At
guy's
this
gross,
point-
and I think this is the year he's going to have his breakout. He's 30, square in his prime, solid and healthy. Finished last season very strong, had a disgusting second half. This is a fantastic pick. I think, if we were talking to John Boy, probably has this pick on his list. Woodruff at number 5. 2.33 ERA in the second half over 13 starts, averaging more than 6 innings per start. He racks up WAR like a monster. He's better than Burns. I'm saying it right now. Woodruff is better than Burns. He's going to be better this season.
Jesus Christ.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
at
That's
this
my take.
point, halfway through our top 10 list, I'm starting to feel bad for you because you're just going to be so far behind, man. Like, your list is so bad. I've never seen a top 10 list of any kind in baseball as bad as this top 10 list.
Ken loves
Um,
to talk and get cute when he's trying to defend
This
himself.
is crazy. You're trying to be cute with the young guys, with the Cincy boys, and with the Marlins boys, and then you're trying to, jump the ship and say Woodruff is better than Burns, has comparable stuff to Burns. This is all just absolute nonsense.
This is what we call a Chad list. Ken is what we call a beta
This
male
is
list. Because
bad.
Ken takes all the
I'm just-
beta male picks.
I'm
I
playing
just
by
take
the rules.
I
I'm
take
playing
the
by the
Chad
rules.
picks. This list gets the girls, bro. This list gets the babes because it's confident,
Sure,
it's
but then-
daring. Chad pick, bro.
I have a.
Ken's like,
I have a proposal.
who had a top 10 WAR last season. Just type their names in again. You just go
I have a
everybody.
proposal.
What's your proposal?
What if we added up the WAR accumulated by our top 10 list and went head to head that way with the total WAR?
Well, that seems a little ridiculous. Why would you? Okay.
See who wins.
Well, in
Who
that
has
case, my
better
list would
picks?
be different.
Would it be different? Because aren't you trying to guess the top WAR anyway?
So well, in that case,
how would it be
the
different?
rankings don't matter at all. It's just your top 10. Doesn't matter which order you put them in. You're just
No,
naming
it's
10
like two
pitchers.
different competitions. I also want to see who would have, because I feel like some
yeah,
of
I
your
can do
guys
that,
would
sure.
have. Okay,
I
yeah.
would do that.
Well,
I mean,
think
yeah, I don't mind. I'll do anything.
some of your guys are going to end up with 0 to 1 more. I mean,
Now it makes me want to add up
see.
the top 10 from last season and see what they got. But
we'll do that after this
we don't
video.
have time for that now. Anyway,
Yeah, we'll do that off camera.
hit me with your
for the
number
people.
4.
With my number 4 is the teammate of my number 5. It's Justin Verlander, the fine wine. It's hard for me to leave him out of this list. As you said, you're the biggest Justin Verlander hater I know, and you still had him on the list, which puts me in a position to put him at 4. He went 18-4 with a 175. You read through the stats. 220 ERA plus is ridiculous. 0.82 WHIP is ridiculous. I think he's another Cy Young candidate. Out of the last 4 years, he's been a Cy Young winner or runner-up in the last 3 of the 4 years. So, I mean, this guy is absolutely crazy. I don't understand how he does it. I think it's Kate Upton. Kate Upton has a lot to do with it. But moving over to New York, I think he'll shine under the bright lights and end up a top 4 pitcher. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he won another Cy Young. He's going to be there.
If Kate Upton were my wife, buddy, I could be winning Cy Youngs at 70. If you have that much to live for,
How fast would you throw if Kate Upton was on?
I'd be throwing 110, dude. I'd be Nolan Ryan level. gas all day.
Give me your 4.
I'd throw 110 mile an hour knuckleballs if she were my wife. I'd be inventing new pitches.
Give me your 4, man.
My four, a guy you mentioned earlier. We talked a lot about him already. It's Max Fried. He was number 2 last season, or what? Maybe number 3 last season. Max Fried.
Did you have him on your list last year? I don't think so.
No, I didn't. I whiffed on him. Missed him completely.
You whiffed on it. I got him. Thank you. You got to mention that.
I don't think you had him last season.
I absolutely did. But go on.
We'll check the tape. I don't think you did. We'll check the tape.
I absolutely did. I'll put a clip in right here.
My man, what is there more? I mean, Fried, he's so good looking, so handsome. You just know that talking to him, he would really listen to you. You could take him to meet your parents. You could take him to the country club. You could take him out to dinner. He'd buy you a beer. He's probably a good dancer. He probably, always pays his bills, always Venmos you back right away, unlike Ken, who still owes me about $200 for baseball tickets 5 months ago.
$60. I still have that written down.
Fried has posted the same record last 2 seasons, 14-7, but he pitched 20 more innings last year. Again, not an elite strikeout pitcher necessarily, but he keeps runners off base, he limits damage, and doesn't give up home runs. And those are the keys to lasting success. Man, I think if Fried pitches well for another 10 years, he could be a Hall of Famer sometime in the future. That's how consistent he is. Like so many of the great Braves pitchers of the last few decades, the Maddoxes, the Glavins, the Smoltzes, the Hudsons, he's right up there. And he's my number 4. But now we're getting into the real hot zone, the top 3 guys in the NL. This is the hot zone. This is where the hottest takes are going to appear.
Definitely the hot zone.
I know exactly which 3 guys you're going to name. I'm not going to say them. But I can probably... I know what name is about to come out of your mouth right now.
Well, okay. So coming in at 3 is, would you like to take a guess? Probably not. It's Sandy Alcantara.
I was going to say Sandy Alcantara. I was going to say that. I knew it was
Sandy Alcantara won the Cy Young last year with an outstanding season. I mean, if you look at his numbers, it's just absolutely gross. 8 WAR as a pitcher, is obviously Cy Young worthy. He's a heavy sinker baller, so I do think that the no shift hurts him. Marlins shifted the 3rd most in MLB against right-handed hitters. He gives up a lot of hard contact on the ground. I think those turn into more hits in 2023. He doesn't strike out as many batters as you would think a guy with his stuff does. He has low whiff rate. It scares me a little bit, and I think he regresses. I think he has to regress. I don't think he can put up what he did last year, but I still think he's the top 3 pitcher in the MLB. I think he'll sit somewhere in the 3 or ERA range, put up a 4 to 5 WAR season, lead that Marlins pitching staff, teach the young guys well. But yeah, I just think the guys above him are better.
It's really hard to imagine him doing what he did a second year in a row. I feel like historically that doesn't happen that much. You have to be in a special category to repeat that kind of year again. That being said,
I agree.
We know he's not going to fall off the table completely and become like a 1 or 2 WAR guy. He's still Sandy. He's still only 27, and he still has absolute gas in that right arm. Anyway, my number 3, a guy you mentioned, Max Scherzer. foolish to leave him off any list. As I said, Scherzer is kind of like the godfather of baseball. The years go by, it's just better. You watch it again, it just keeps getting better. It never gets old. You know every pitch, you know what's coming. Doesn't make it any less beautiful. He just carves up hitters like he's a 23-year-old, but he's 38 now. And he looks old coming off that mound. He's thinning. You've seen he's graying. He looks tired. He's kind of gaining a little bit of weight. But out there, when he gets on that mound, something else takes over. For those of you who haven't seen Max Scherzer live, have you seen him live, Ken?
Max Scherzer live. I did see the 20 strikeout game in Washington, D.C.
No, you didn't. What? No, you didn't.
I was at that game.
No,
yeah,
you weren't.
I think it was against Corbin Burns or Woodruff or someone against the Brewers.
You're joking. This is a cap. He was not there. Dude.
I was there.
Dude, you cannot hit me with this right now. What? No, stop. It's not funny. You can't
It was like a 1-0 game. It was 2-0 or something.
If you don't have a photo, it didn't happen.
How do you think I remember the exact pitching matchups, exact team, exact score?
You're probably looking it up right now just to fuck with me.
No, I was literally at the game, bro.
What? Why didn't you tell me?
Why? Were you at the game?
No, I went to a different game in 2021 where I saw him, but...
No.
Dude, how? You didn't tell me you were at this game?
Anyway, yeah, go on.
Okay, I don't believe this at all, I'll just say, because there's no way you would have... Okay, oh my god, stop it, dude! Stop! You can't do that to me. Oh, this is so frustrating that he gets me every time. It's just... God damn it.
Go on.
Stop. Okay, well...
I have Scherzer 3.
Scherzer's my number 3. Yeah, that's all I have to say about him.
All right, for my number 2 now... I think you could probably guess it's the youngin from the Atlanta Braves. It's Spencer Strider. He's the most electrifying pitcher, I think, in all of baseball. His percentile ranks in Baseball Savant are crazy. Upper 90th percentile in K percentage, expected batting average, fastball velo, whiff percentage, expected slugging, expected ERA, expected WOBA. I don't expect you to know all those stats, but they are important in determining whether a pitcher is good or not. He only threw 131.2 innings last year because he came up a little late, but he still put up a 200 strikeout campaign. 1.83 FIP. Are you kidding me? 2.67 ERA. He does walk a little too many batters for me to be comfortable with a number 1 pick, but he still had a nice whip of under 1. He strikes out a ton of batters, man. 13.8 K per 9, which would have ranked first if he qualified and threw enough innings. But I see him as a mini DeGrom, -20 on the run value of fastball. Injury is definitely a question mark with him. He's not a huge guy. He's not a tall guy, but he's jacked and. He did have an oblique strain issue last year, but nothing with the arm, so I expect him to put up 180 innings plus and be in that Cy Young conversation. He's amazing.
Well, this means that you and I are going to have quite a war over who your number 1 pick is. My number 2 is a guy we just talked about, Sandy Alcantara. Ken had him at number 3. Okay. We're pretty much in agreement about him.
Similar.
He's really as filthy as it gets. I don't think we need to restate the points too much. He's the Sandman. He's a beast. Ace of the Marlins. Let's hope they're good this year so we can get some wins. I really want to get on to your number 1, Ken. But can you give me some of your honorable mentions first? Who is just left off the list for you?
So when I read off these honorable mentions, I think you'll realize who I have at number 1, and it's not who you're thinking.
Wow.
My honorable mentions was Nola. Just missed out. I have him as 11th best pitcher.
Just against
Logan
me.
Webb.
Just like me. That's the only reason.
No, I just don't think he's only put up 2.3 WAR in the seasons that he hasn't popped off in, and he's popped off in 2 of his 5 to 10 years he's been in the league. Logan Webb is a guy that's left off. Gonsolin, who had a breakout year last year. Kershaw, who unfortunately could not fit in the top 10. Kyle Wright is another guy that put up another great season last year that didn't make my top 10. Joe Musgrove is another guy that should have or deserved to be on this list but couldn't make it. Brandon Woodruff, Kodai Senga, I think, is a sneaky Cy Young pick.
Who the hell is your number 1? What?
And Lodolo round out.
Okay, I have no idea who you're going to put at number 1 now.
That's exactly what I thought, because number 1 pitcher, if you looked at the stats of the last 2-3 years.
Who are you going to pull out right here?
It's a
What?
guy that you had lower on your list, which I couldn't believe you had him at 10th. It's Julio Urias.
No, you didn't.
He-
No, get
he is
out of
by
here. Get
far-
out. Get out.
He is by
No, no,
far
no.
the most complete
No.
pitcher.
No.
No health concerns.
You joking.
He
This is a joke, right? This is a joke.
This is not an absolute. This is
I'm
not a joke.
so
He went
disappointed
17
right
and
now.
7 with a 2.16
Get
ERA
out of
in
here.
175 innings.
Get out of
I
here.
know you mentioned the high FIP
Stop.
of 3.71,
Stop.
but his WHIP is 0.96.
Stop.
He doesn't walk too many hitters.
Stop. I'm
He's
so
put up a
disgusted right now.
5-WAR season. He
So
was 7th in
disgusted.
Cy in 21. He was 3rd in
This
2022.
can't be your pick.
I mean, come on. He's going to put up a 5 to 6
Urias?
WAR season and lead
So
that Dodgers
That's
rotation.
so depressing.
If you look at his stats, you just hate Urias for some reason. But if you look at his stats with an unbiased mind and a clean mind, you'll see that he has just improved every single year. He's never had a bad season in his career. His fastball curve combination is one of the best 1-2 punches in the league.
You're just doing this to
97th
get a rise out of me.
percentile in
Even if
spin
you look at his
94th
Oh my God.
percentile in curve spin. His high FIP of 3.71. You're worried about that? Yeah. What about his 2.81
buddy,
expected ERA?
buddy.
Um,
Okay, in what sense is he getting better every year?
What do you mean? Look at his numbers.
His strikeouts went down by a full strikeout per 9 last season.
This is
And
what
he-
happens when
and
your
his-
mind is just taken.
Dude, his walk rate went up
not
by
all about strikeouts.
his walk rate went up by a full percent last year. Less
His walk
strikeouts,
rate,
more
his walk
walks.
rate, His WHIP is 0.96. No one's on base anyway.
His whole,
Doesn't
you're
give a
so
piss.
stupid. His home run per 9 went up to 3.3. All of his ratios are going in the wrong direction from last season. Every one of them is going in the wrong direction.
You see, this is what happens
He
when
gave
you
up
look at surface
More
level
home
numbers.
runs.
If you know baseball like me, you go in depth and you know what this
What?
guy can do on the
What are
mound.
you going in
He's a
depth
Cy Young
in?
candidate
This is
year in and year out.
such
He's
a
only
bad
26 years
pick.
old.
This
He's
is
only
such
26.
a
He's
bad
the
pick.
best pitcher in the National League.
Oh my
Give me your
God.
number one.
This is ridiculous. I can't believe
Your number one.
my number one is a far better pick. It's a big baller pick. It's a man. It's Quadzilla. It's the boy himself. It is Spencer Strider at number one, the best pitcher in the NL next season. Ken had
I
him
had
at
him
number
at 2,
two.
so I agree with you. I can't
We're
really.
here on this. I just, oh my God. It's like Strider makes sense at number one. He's poised to have that breakout. He mows boys down. He throws absolute gas. He could put together a banger of a season. Urias? Oh, they're not comparable.
I went back and forth between Urias and Strider at 1 and 2. I landed on what I had landed on.
Okay, so the argument is not about Strider. It's about Urias. Because that doesn't make sense. He's not at that level,
What do you
my
mean
guy.
it doesn't make sense?
He's very good. He's very good. He's an ace. He's not the number one pitcher. He's never going to be the number one pitcher in the NL. The stuff isn't there.
I cannot wait to play this back to you in
Is
your
it his
face
90
over and
his
over
90
and over and over again
Dude, you're
after
not
this year
doing-
when he wins the Cy Young.
Is it his 93.1 mile an hour fastball that's so appealing to you?
He got
Is it his-
MVP votes last year, man.
Okay.
4.4 and then 4.9 WAR.
Look
He's
away
putting
look
up-
away from his baseball savant page. What do you think the whiff rate was on
I'm
his
on his baseball reference.
What do you think the whiff rate was on his curveball last year?
I have no idea.
What do you think it was? The whiff rate on his curveball.
30, 25.
21.4. Your curveball has a better whiff rate than that.
It's not about whips.
Spencer Strider had like a 53%
no one
whiff.
else
Oh
does,
my
man. This is what happens when you look at stats instead of actually watching the guy pitch.
You just said the problem was I wasn't looking at stats. You keep changing your story.
I'm changing the story depending on the pitcher. This is a pitcher that you need to watch pitch. If you look at, I'll send you a video of a breakdown John Boy did of his at bats against Juan Soto. I mean, he just has the highest baseball IQ out of anyone in this list.
And
except
now
for
you're
Scherzer
going on
and
about your.
Verlander.
You hate me for going on the intangibles. You're going on about your intangibles now. Look at this, man. You're so hypocritical.
Okay, fine. But I think intangibles do matter a little bit. I was hating
That's
on
what
your
I'm saying.
intangibles because
You're
you're
oh
talking
my
about
God.
mustaches. And you're talking about mustaches and good looks. I'm talking about actual baseball intangibles that matter in something like this, man.
Oh my God, my poor guy. You're trying
I
so
cannot
so
wait.
hard to be the Ollie right now and just be so.
I cannot wait
so
to
edgy.
just play this video back
Oh.
and back. You'll be like, oh, I didn't see it coming. You just got lucky. Oh, I can hear it. I can hear it already, man.
What do you? What's your projection for Urias? What are you basing this on?
I see him going 15 to 20 wins, 2.5 ERA, 200 innings pitched. I think he's getting his innings up there now. He led the league in 194 ERA plus, if I didn't mention that already. I think he's putting up a 5.5 to 6.5 WAR season. So I think that
Well,
wins the Cy Young.
I made very thorough predictions for my man Strider. I have him going 15-6, 30 starts, 184 innings with a 2.76 ERA.
Sure, I agree with that.
117 hits, 53 walks, 0.92 WHIP, and 251 Ks for a WAR of 5.6. Okay, you agree with that? That's fine. But let me read you my Arias. Let me read you my Arias predictions. I have Arias.
I don't want to hear it. You're going to be so disrespectful.
No, because they're just better. They're just like more accurate. They're still solid. I have him making 28 starts, 164 innings, 2.91 ERA, 154 Ks, 149 ERA plus, and a 4.2 WAR. Okay, so I'm like 1 or 2 wins below you, which is way more reasonable than saying he's a 6 WAR guy next season.
Dude, Arias is the next Fernando Valenzuela.
So disrespectful to Valenzuela.
Mexican lefty, Dodgers legend. He's coming, bro. He's leading that rotation now. He's the guy in that rotation.
Yes, he is. That's sure. He's just not number one. He just can't.
26-year-old coming into his prime.
There's no way he's better than.
Bound to have a
there's
great
no
year.
way he's better than Nola, Woodruff, Fried, Scherzer, Wheeler, all these other guys you named. There's no way he's better than these guys next season. It's just not. It's just not happening.
I don't think he's a better pitcher than them. I think he's going to have a better season.
You just think this season is the one.
Let's make that correct.
You have a feeling about this season.
I just know it, bro. Look at his numbers, man.
I don't like to watch
for a one game start. Yes, I would rather have some of these guys lower on my list, but
for a full season,
as predictions for a WAR ranking, I think he is the number one guy.
You like your man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the last Dodgers pitcher to lead the National League in WAR was our favorite lefty, Clayton Kershaw, who was not on my list only because of the lack of innings. I assume he's going to pitch, but
same here.
Over the last few years...
Who was your honorable mentions, guys?
My honorable mentions...
Someone I didn't mention?
Honestly, about the same as yours. Gallen was a near miss for me, almost on the list. Logan Webb, a near miss. He was actually in the top 10 last season. We probably should give Logan Webb a lot more credit, both of us, I think.
He put up near 5-4.
We kind of miss him a bit. Dustin May, a narrow miss for me. Also Tony Gonsolin, Dodgers righties. All of the Padres guys, near misses. Snell, Darvish, Musgrove. Freddie Peralta, I really wanted to have on the list. He's so good, but just can't stay healthy. And it's just, I don't know. I can't commit to him. He's had a 2.70 expected ERA last season, top 5% of the league. He's disgusting, such good breaking stuff, but he doesn't stay healthy, and so I can't quite give him that. Aaron Ashby, another guy who I think is poised for a big breakout.
Oh, you love Ashby.
I love Aaron Ashby. Nick Lodolo of the Reds also. No one on the Pirate.
I think Lodolo has a better season than Green.
Hayden Wesneski of the Cubs is the one Chicago pitcher I think has a chance of
Yankees miss him.
Season. Yep. No one on the Cardinals I think is going to be that good next year. Elite, except maybe Flaherty if he makes it come together.
I'm so out on Flaherty, it's not even funny.
The NL is a bit more exciting than the AL in terms of pitching next season. The NL has all the young, epic guys. It's going to be really fun to watch, see how Strider's stuff plays in the second season, if there's any kind of hangover. See what Senga does with the Mets. He was disgusting in NPB.
I think Senga's my dark horse Cy Young, man. If he stays healthy, puts up 180 innings, look out.
You should have let me guess that first.
Yeah, I should have. Who's yours?
Honestly, it's Edward Cabrera.
Stop. You're not trying to be cute, man. You're just trying to be so
How about your
little Brian Kenny over there?
Your pitching rookie of the year.
My pitching rookie of the year? I got to look at the rookies list.
Is I guess what you should call it. I should call it.
Who's yours? I got to look at this list first.
My rookie pitcher of the year is Andrew Painter of the Phillies, if and when he gets his debut next season. Their top prospect.
Okay. Who's? I mean, you got your obvious guys, right? I don't even know who the obvious guy. I mean, I think it's Perez as I mentioned earlier. Perez is obvious for me. Painter, yeah, it's a good pick. I'm not too sure about the other guys, man. There's not too many hot pitching prospects coming out of the National League. I'm excited to see Jordan Walker, Corbin Carroll. I think these guys are going to be great on the offensive side of the ball.
Good thing I pay no attention to offense. I don't even know what batting is. I only see pitchers. I don't even know if there's batting in this game. I would just watch. I would just like to watch like a cardboard cutout of a batter, and then like just pitchers coming up and dealing all game. That'd be a good game for me. I don't want to see any hits. I don't want to see any hits. MLB should never consult me on like how to make the game better because I'm like in the super minority of what people want to see. I want to see 1-0 strikeout duels every time. Pitchers duels every game.
You're in the minority.
All right, guys. We're getting off topic, but thank you all for watching again. You've heard today the correct list, which I dispensed, and a fun little fantasy version of the list dispensed by Ken Suzuki. Julio Urias, if you're listening to this, it is not personal at all. I just don't like the Dodgers.
Sounds personal.
It's not personal. I just don't like the Dodgers, and you should try to get a different pair of glasses. Mi amigo, te prometo que no es personal, pero tiene que cambiar las gafas porque son muy feas ahora. Y tengo muchas ganas de mejorar su lanzamiento la próxima temporada. Okay. After all of that,
you think you know how to speak Spanish?
I do.
You should ask me about any Spanish questions.
You've already what I just said.
Just because you say cambiar gafas doesn't mean you know how to speak Spanish.
You don't know what that means.
Keep this moving.
You don't even know what that means.
Change glasses.
Two words that Ken knows. I would school him in Spanish. He was in Barcelona for a full semester, didn't learn anything.
I learned so much.
You didn't.
I learned so much everyday conversational words that you wouldn't even know.
¿Por qué nunca hablas español conmigo?
Can you close the show, please?
Okay. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
See ya. Make sure you subscribe.
Next time. Check out our deep dives.